Well folks, welcome back to the workshop, and on a Saturday no less. I've been meaning to make this video for some time now, but I haven't been able to get round to it, and I've been called into the workshop today to do a wee quick repair for somebody, so I thought I'd take an opportunity to actually do this video now since I have a bit of time. This one isn't a repair video, it's a thank you video. Not so long ago, as you probably already know, I had 100,000 followers. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you to everybody that's actually following my channel, and especially all the actual members as well that help fund the channel too. Big massive thank you to everybody. This is the famous YouTube plaque that YouTubers get when they had 100,000 subscribers. The Silver YouTube Award for 100,000 followers. Just an unbelievable massive thank you to all of you for actually following me. I never thought I would ever be receiving one of these here for my YouTube channel, so really appreciate everybody that's following me. As soon as I have it, may as well show you what it's like. It's actually made of aluminium, not a solid block mind you, but aluminium panel and sides, brushed aluminium here, mirror finished insert, and then a block of aluminium for the actual play button. It's actually a really cool plaque. I really do appreciate it. Must actually get it up at home to show it off a wee bit. Honestly, still can't believe that the channel has 100,000 subscribers. It's just amazing to me. When I actually started the channel, I thought it would just be useful to have these videos put up for anybody doing wee repairs and needed a little bit of help. I thought it would be helpful for some, but I never thought I would ever get to this here amount. So really, thank you all for actually subscribing. Now a lot of you asked for whenever I hit 100,000 to do a special workshop video, so that's what this is going to be today. Now that I'm in here and I'm doing the video, I'll also answer a few questions or common questions that I get asked, and also tell you a wee bit about myself and how this actually started up. So this workshop is actually in a hardware shop, small local hardware shop, and it's not my hardware shop. I just do the repairs for them down here in the workshop. The owner, the boss man of the hardware shop, has always liked to look after his customers. He's been in this game for the last 30 or 40 years, and he's always been known for his honesty and customer service. So when selling power tools, he's always liked to look after his customers, so if they ever have a problem, they can come here and get them fixed very quick. So instead of having to send them away, they can just be fixed right here in shop. So that's the reason for the workshop. So the reason these videos came about is actually from the hardware shop here. They used to have a van on the road doing deliveries once or twice a week to other shops around the county, and also going to building sites as well, delivering fixtures and fittings. So anyone in Donegal could actually buy machines or fixtures and fittings here from the hardware shop, get them delivered in the van, and if there are any problems with the machines, anything broken, the van would also pick them up and take them back here to the workshop. But with the van gone, that input of machines started to slow down, and the workshop actually became very quiet here for a little stage. So that's how the videos actually came about. Whenever things actually got quieter, to help things pick up again, I started making a few small videos to post them on other social media accounts, just to advertise the business, the repair service, to get more stuff coming on. But straight away, after posting them, after a few weeks, the number of subscribers and followers I was getting in them accounts started to go up and up and up, and people started to recommend putting them on YouTube as well. But the YouTube channel, I wanted to make a little bit different and actually use it to show people how the repairs are actually done. So if anybody's at home wanted to do it themselves, they could follow it. Plus just show people that machines just aren't meant to be disposable. They can actually be fixed up and repaired. So if they had them themselves, they can fix them. And if they didn't want to fix them themselves, they can still send them to other repair agents or repair shops to fix them for them. But never did I think they would get this popular and have 100,000 followers actually following the channel. But the workshop is what you all asked to see, so I'll give you a wee tour of the workshop here and show you what's all on it. Now luckily it was a little bit quieter this week, so I got a chance to tidy the workshop up for you as well. The place is actually a mess last week, so it's well read up here now. And I'm only on here today to actually look at this machine here, this Makita. It's a brand new one, it's only just sold and it's not working right. The actual back bevel here wasn't locking. The actual saw kept tipping over. The only problem with it was actually the nut here on the back handle. This must have been manufactured on a Friday evening, because the only problem was the nut. She was tightening up, but she wasn't locking. A little bit of damage there in the thread. This actual long connector nut wasn't threaded the full way. It's only partly threaded. So down here, threads were getting tight. It felt like it was locking, but it wasn't. It was bottoming out down here on the nut. So it wasn't actually clamping the back. Quick run with the tap to tap it out a little bit deeper. Solve the problem. So that was just a wee quick repair I got on here today to do. That's done, so I thought I'd do this video. So the actual floor of the workshop isn't too bad. This is actually just one machine. I'm making 1 out of 2 here. There's only a few other wee bits and pieces on here. Normally it's packed out. So in the workshop itself, it's mainly spare parts. That's what's taking up the bulk of the space. Now the boss man, the owner, years ago, when there's other people actually working in the workshop, he really didn't like to wait for spare parts. So if they needed a head for a grinder, say, or an armature, and they had to order it in, he'd always just tell them to order in two or three to have an extra one for spares. Simply so they wouldn't have to wait for the part to come in again. They would have their own in stock. So a lot of this here is all old stock, especially up in this here row up here. The boss man, he just really likes to look after his customers. So much so, if I'm sitting working on a machine here, and a regular customer comes in with a problem, it'll just be straight down here and I'll see if I can fix it right there and then as he's waiting in the shop. And as well, because this is an actual hardware shop, he is a Makita and Bosch agent, and I'm a Makita and Bosch service agent here, so I do all the warranty repairs for them. So they actually sell Bosch and Makita tools here, among others like DeWalts and different wee pieces. But because the owner actually works here full time himself, he works here 5 days a week from 9 to 6 at the counter. So if a customer comes in with a problem, he hears about it. If he buys a machine and it's no good, crap or breaks, he's going to hear about it directly from the customer. And he doesn't want hassle. He doesn't want a bad reputation. So if he buys in machines and they're no good or he has problems with them, that's it. He doesn't take them in anymore. Doesn't sell them. Doesn't stock them. That's why when you come on here and you go up to the showroom and actually look around the power tools, you'll not see a Bosch miter saw because they're not popular. You normally always seen the DeWalt 12-inch miter saws. They're giving problems now. They're gone. Now we're getting on the Makita 12-inch miter saws, as well as the Makita 10-inch, which was always the size we kept in the 10-inch. It just doesn't stock every tool for every brand because not every brand makes all good tools. He stocks the good ones because they give less trouble, and he just does away with the bad ones if they start giving any sort of trouble. Same with table saws. You'll see Bosch and DeWalt table saws upstairs. You'll not see any Makitas. The nail guns upstairs, you're going to see pass loads, you're going to see a Cookie, DeWalts, different air nail guns as well, but you're not going to see too many Makitas. So these top shelves up here, this one is all the very old stuff. These rows here are mainly all Bosch stuff, but these two here, these are all Bosch, mainly armatures and fields. Other things like electronics, brush holders. Some are new stock, like the eccentric gears for the Bosch GBH8s, but a lot of stuff's fairly old. Like some hammer pipes for a GSH11E. These are service kits for an 11E. Some new stuff, electronic modules. You'll get a wee bit of everything up here. But the main thing is going to be armatures and fields. Even going back to the USH10, still have an old armature for that. That thing's been obsolete for years. And then the one after, the GSH10C, still have armatures and fields for them there as well. They're all the Bosch ones. Now a lot of them may never be used, to be quite honest. On this top shelf up here, these are all Makita ones. Because 20 or 30 years ago they were ordering extra parts in, they needed an armature, they would order 2. A lot of that stuff just has not been used. So that top shelf there, each of them boxes is a field or an armature for a Makita tool. Some of them could cost €50, some of them could cost 100, some even more. But that entire shelf will eventually be going to the scrap man for scrap value. That's probably only worth about €50 now. So because there's actually so many extra spare parts on here, or old stock spare parts, there's just no more room in this workshop. So whenever the last 2 repairmen retired and I actually took over for them, I've actually stopped ordering on extra spare parts. I only order on now the parts that have been used regularly. I don't order an extra of anything else because we've no more room in here. You just can't physically stock everything. Now this wall here, these are all wee tilt bins. These are probably the thing you go to eat the most. Mainly brushes and bearings down the bottom. So every one of the Hitachi brushes, the second row up is all Makita brushes, the whole way to the end. And the very bottom row is all bearings. And then from about here on, that's all Bosch brushes. And then halfway down these two middle rows are all Makita switches. And everything else then down this side is all just miscellaneous parts and electrical connections like crimps and different things like that. Down here it's just all batteries and chargers for different tools that comes in, cordless tools. You need a battery to actually test them. And if you have batteries, you're going to need chargers as well. So that's all with the batteries and chargers are kept. The bag is just old scrap cable as well as the box underneath there. It's not dumped, this is stored up and then taken to a scrap man. Old parts like armatures and bits of metal in that's stored in these boxes down here, and then whenever it's full it's taken out the container to fish boxes and kept as well for the scrap man. And then above there I have the famous parts washer, which hasn't been cleaned out yet, so it's not looking the best. And here every single space, every piece of the wall or floor, there's either spare parts or tools on it. Now toolbox, just a wee small one. As you can see, it is absolutely overflowing. Can't fit anything else in this thing. To be honest, can't really get much out of it. That's just an absolute mess. That's just where wee bits of random bits and pieces go. Couple of wee small tools up in here. Wee special fixtures and fittings. And a lot of old second-hand switches in some of the bottom drawers. Handy to have. Now, having spare parts is one thing. Finding them is a completely different thing. These here storage boxes here are Stanley boxes. One of the old repairmen actually made a metal stand to store them in. This is a very good storage system. These are actually individual machines, so Bosch hammers, GSH11E, GSH5E, an older one again, old Makita HM1202. They're all individual parts for those specific tools. So everything for that machine, all the main bits, you get in these boxes. Be great if they have these here for every single model of machine, but we only just have them for the main ones we get on. Even the old blue Ryobi 8450, dedicated box for that, but we wouldn't really go to that as much anymore. These could do with being updated because some of them are fairly old, like the GBH 24 volt, old NiCad SDS roll, the cordless one. They're mainly obsolete parts now. A lot of the bits, and this is actually for the 36 volt Bosch drill now. But a lot of them are actually for the old 24 volt. They're mainly obsolete. Now, handy storage tip for you is, if you have box like this, old camera tubes, wee tubes like this here, wild handy for storing stuff in, especially these small pieces. You'll see these everywhere in the workshop. Sadly, you don't get film tubes anymore. So if you ever see a manufacturer making little small tubes, order 100 of them because they come in so handy. So over this side, a wee bit of stuff around the door. Things like sanding pads for Velcro sanders, bits for nibblers, drywall bits for cleated guns, wee bits and pieces as well, wee oddball bits. This year I've been trying to organise this wall a little bit better. Some plugs down here, miscellaneous stuff over this side. These are all Makita brush holders for different cordless tools. And then some of the ones over here on the left, these are all individual Makita hammers. Everything else this side is a little bit more disorganised, is not as well laid out. And of course you've got the bearing press, which gets a lot of use. It's just a wee draper one, not the most expensive unit, but very handy. Below, more parts. These are just really old Bosch parts. And of course you have your cables then over here. Main stuff I stock. You keep a little bit of yellow and blue Arctic cable, but everything else is H07 cable. Everything from 0.75 to 1mm to 1.52 core. Then some of the 3 cores in, you want a bit of a heavier stuff then. Now, a lot of the Bosch stuff is well organised, even on the shelves themselves. These wee bags hanging. They're actually all Bosch O-rings. And then Bosch C-clips over here. And then these are all Bosch switches. They were just all dumped into one box. So last year I actually started sorting them out and put them up there. The Makitas haven't been as fortunate. A lot of that stuff is still and red bins down here. So all Makita O-rings, all mixed up. And then some of the boxes down here are all Makita hammers. And then some other Makita tools just up here. Nothing organised. If you need something, you sort of have to go through these boxes every single time to see if you have a part in stock. More storage boxes here, but some of these are more individual machines or specialist machines. Like the big one is Evolution stuff, and the bottom one is the Makita HR3540C. And underneath then we have old biscuit boxes with more camera film tubes. These are great for little screws and O-rings and small bearings. Little oddball bits and pieces that otherwise get lost. While handy to have them like that. Screws in here are always useful to have. So we also just have a drawer just for screws. Really all of these here are actually second-hand screws, salvaged from machines, but they're always handy to have because you never know when you're going to lose a screw. Up here in this top shelf are all service kits for Bosch hammers, as well as up here hanging on the wall. All up this side is all Makita parts, mainly fields and armatures and DC motors for hammers or cordless tools. And obviously I have a Dell computer there for actually looking up parts breakdowns, things like that there, ordering parts, actually doing up repair sheets as well. More tools and bits and pieces up around here, and then more spare parts again down here as well. Sometimes, especially more popular modern machines, instead of ordering spare parts, I'll just buy the machine. So Hikoki nail gun, started getting them in for repair. Didn't want to order bits and pieces every now and again, so just took a whole machine and actually just stripped the whole machine for parts. So anytime I need a new part, take it out of that there and order the part in anyway. So that's an entire Hikoki machine with all the spare parts in it. So whenever I take a part out, if I need an armature, I can just take that, get the machine fixed right there and then just order the armature in and throw it onto this here box. So even if you no longer need to fix these, I can just put all the parts together again and you're still left with a new machine. Over here is actually a rolling rack sent in by Rack Zone. Brilliant piece of kit. This thing is on so friggin' handy. More spare parts in that, front and back, but also use it for stored machines that are in for repair. So all these things here are actually waiting on spare parts as well. And then over this side on this workbench, this is where I am all the time. This is where I do all the repairs. So this is where I'd be working all day, every day. And the only thing I'm using then is just a wee stand then for the camera for actually recording. So that's where you're seeing me record stuff all day long. Now I had to do a wee job out the back the other day, repairing a shelf. I had no welding mask. So that's what that's about. It's just a glass for a welder, just cut into a plastic cardboard box. Makeshift job, that's why that's lying there. Now, we'll just work on this side. There's more spare parts over here too. Every bit of space in here is full of spare parts. These boxes aren't individual for specific models. They're all mainly individual for brands. So there are 3 DeWalt boxes here of all different random bits and pieces. From brushes to gears. Not organised by machines, but kept separate. These are all the main bits you'll be getting in every week. There'll be 3 DeWalt boxes here. There'll be 1 Milwaukee. There's actually 2 Hulti boxes. A bunch of Bosch ones and a few Makitas. Maybe half of these you might use once a month, but the other branded ones like the DeWalts, you get into that every single day. And bolted on to the underside of the workshop, we have a transformer here, just for plugging in machines for testing. And then some other second-hand and new stuff underneath the bench. And then as well there's some old stock, some old Bosch bits, and then some old Bosch sander parts. Honestly, I don't even know why I have that. I've never taken a single part out of that box. Then outside of the workshop, I also have a little shed. This is mainly broken machines for parts. Few new parts on here, wee bench grinder is where the actual compressor is as well. But the bulk of the stuff is just broken machines. All cordless tools up here. Some random stuff and cables over here. And then maybe old batteries and that down there. Old stock then. Makita sander parts like the belt sanders and the really old half sheet sanders. They're still pretty much used. Old Makita routers down in there. Still be using that stuff as well. Old bodies of machines. And then as well, this container here is actually old Kango parts. You still get old Kangos on the odd time. The actual brand Kango now. Kango 950, that sort of stuff. Don't get parts for them very much anymore. They're all the old parts I have left in stock. So once they're gone, that's it. But generally, just about every other machine in here, all this here stuff is all just broken machines that have been donated or never picked up. They're left here now just for the odd time you might need a spare part. Things like whole body assemblies or maybe a gearbox housing assembly on the likes of a Makita saw. Something that never actually breaks, but the odd time it does, it's handier to put on a second hand part than it is to actually buy a brand new part because they're just too expensive to replace. It's far better to have a scrap online there for that sort of stuff. Wee compressor was sent in from Vivor. That's still running strong. Old Draper one sitting in the corner here as a spare, but was never needed to be hooked up again. That thing here is a fantastic wee beast of a machine. Couldn't be doing without it now. It's lovely and quiet for in here. These wee drawers here are just old stock parts. Not even old stock parts, random second hand parts. So like spring clips, random washers, more spring clips, shims. These are all second hand bits that you wouldn't really order on their own. They're just handy to have. These stopping devices for all different brands of hammers. Things like that are very handy to have lying around. And the round type stopping devices, handy to have them lying there just in case you ever need them. And over here, more parts, change knobs for handles, random brushes. Not much of this ever really used now. And the rest on this shelf is just broken machines. Down here is just mainly rubbish, and on the top shelf bits of 11E, might need that there for a future video. And then these here are actually old air gun parts. So that's an S&K. And these here are all air gun parts, old air nailers, pneumatic nailers. Still be going through plenty of stuff in this here pile, pans and seals and whatnot. So I'll get plenty of air guns on, so that comes in fairly handy. Right, because there's been two other repairmen in here before me, there's actually bits in here and in the other adjacent container that I've never actually went through. There's new parts lying around that have just never been taken out. I never ordered them, so I don't even know they're there. It takes a long time to sort them and organise them, and I'm just not fully there yet. This is just the last sort of stock stuff to be done. And these here two places, the shed and the container. Now inside it is fairly messy on the floor because as well as spare parts and broken machines, this is generally where the bins get left as well. So whenever old scrap bins get filled up, they generally be thrown on here as well until there's enough to actually go dumping. So generally this wee shed is fairly messy. It was emptied recently, that's what all these bins here for. They'll eventually all get filled up with old rags, bits and pieces, grease and whatnot. Then they'll have to go for dumping then. But that's it. That's the wee wooden shed. Over this side is the container. And in the container, it is even worse again. This is all just rows upon rows of broken machines. All donated or scrapped off, just left now for spare parts. And when you start holding on to them, it generally starts to build quite quickly. Right, the stuff on the shelves is mainly for spares. The stuff in the middle of the floor is probably just going to go for dumping. It's mainly just lying here in the road. So that sort of stuff will just be thrown away. Everything else in here is just there to help fix the machine, to help get a boy out of a jam, maybe save you time waiting on spare parts, or replace a part that's otherwise too expensive to actually buy, like these old Marcus drills. If you needed a field or something for it and the armature was good, you can't buy the field on its own, you have to buy the whole motor assembly. So if you get one burnt out or somebody throws out, it's handy to have just to get a spare part out of it. GSH 11Es, always using bits out of them because there's plenty of them come in. Not that they're a bad machine, simply because there's that many of them out there. And there is some new stuff on here as well. These are all belts here for old sanders and whatnot, all different brands. That's where they're kept out here. And other miscellaneous sort of bits and pieces over this side. Guards and fences for saws. These shells are actually brand new parts, but they're all old stock Bosch armature and fields again. These ones will probably never be used. And these boxes here are actually healthy parts. And that's all the healthy parts we have, apart from maybe a few containers and the wee shed as well. When that's all gone, that's it. As you can see, there's some new machines on here as well. Things like an old Milwaukee drywall gun, Makita 1/2-inch nut gun, they're brand new. An Evolution magnetic drill, brand new machines bought in just to be stripped apart for spare parts. Sometimes it's actually cheaper to buy the machine and take the parts you need than you have the other regular spare parts available as well. Saves the customer money and saves yourself money from ordering more bits. Plus, if you order on something like a controller or a gearbox housing or something like that, or maybe the whole body of the machine, if you order that part on its own, it can be very expensive to fix, and you can risk if the customer eventually doesn't want to pay for it or doesn't come back for it, you're out the money. So sometimes it's handier to actually buy a completely new machine and rob the parts out of it, because then if you don't need it, you can still put the machine back together again and not be out as much money. But the rest out here, bulk of it is going to be hammers and grinders. So main grinders are all up here, 9-inch ones, and all down here. These are generally all hammers, Makita and Bosch. Then up here are some of the old stock new parts of Bosch hammers, like the old GSH5s, handles, covers, plastic bits. That's a GSH5 body. And up top again, more hammers to be scrapped off just for parts. The other question I get asked an awful lot is how I actually get into doing these tool repairs. So I myself actually started out doing mechanical engineering college, product design, product building, CNC programming, that sort of stuff. I actually specialise in biomedical engineering. But after finishing up college, specialising in biomedical, you sort of need to move away to get jobs on that. There's nothing around here in that sort of field. Wasn't the best of decisions to actually specialise in biomedical. But at that stage, I really didn't actually want to move away just for work. I wanted to actually get a bit of money, start a job, buy a house and get a family started, to be honest. So instead, I just continued working in a factory that I used to work in, a net factory. And after that, started got a job in this here hardware shop, just in the hardware shop itself. After working in the hardware shop for a few years and the old repair technicians retiring, I sort of just started taking over, just doing the repairs for them. So it's as simple as that. Is how I actually got into doing the tool repairs. But that's it for on here. This is the full Aladdin's Cave container of spare parts and broken machines. But you'll be surprised how often you'll be out here getting a wee spare part that actually saves you that day, especially when you have to wait a few weeks to get the spare part ordered on. Very handy to have all the stuff lying out here. The rest of the place then is just a hardware shop. This is upstairs at the hardware shop itself. Down here's the counter. Here's all different tool aisles. Draper, Stanley, Dargan, Tang, BGS. All the normal ones. A few other ones over the side here. Kitchen handles as well. All kitchen sort of stuff we sell here. Blades. Key cutting over here, and everything else is just fixtures and fittings. They sell everything here and not in individual little packets. Everything here you can get. Down to your healthy nails over here, band clamps, all these boxes over here, all individual screws, nails, bolts. You can buy ones and twos of everything. And then underneath here as well, I'm on a mezzanine. There's more nuts, bolts and fixtures and fittings. All the bolts around the corner here, imperial, metric, metric fine, all on individual cubby holes, all individual. So it's like a wee sweet shop for anybody needing nuts and bolts. And then upstairs here, where I am, is the actual power tools. And this is the reason why we have the repair shop. Makita, we're an agents for. So we sell the tools and we do the repairs for them. And also Bosch. So we do all the warranty repairs, the Bosch stuff as well. So Makita and Bosch are the main things they actually sell here, the main brands. So they're the ones we actually get on the most for repair, because we sell more of them. So more people around here have these tools, but they still actually sell loads of other brands too. These are all saws, miter saws and magnetic drills. All cables and reels, all the stock Makita tools, and on this side all the Bosch tools, mainly Bosch hammers down the bottom. Over this side more Makitas. The only Hikokis we actually have are the nail guns. Started off with just the roofing gun, the one, but because that was so popular we now have to stock all of them, because everybody keeps asking for them, from the 18 gauge to the 16 gauge straight and angled, and the roofing gun. Now, as for the Makitas, everybody always asks me why I recommend this and why I buy it myself. It's very simple. Generally, they're the most reliable in the long run. They generally last the longest. That's why I recommend them. They're not going to be the most powerful. They don't advertise as being the most powerful, but instead of having way more power, they just focus on doing the job right and actually getting the machine to last for a lot longer. But that is only for the 18 volt tool range. When it comes to corded stuff, I wouldn't recommend going for one particular brand. Buy the best brand for that type of machine. But when you get into a battery platform, you sort of want to buy one that's going to keep you going and have everything you want to use for years to come. That's another reason why Makita is very good. Not only the good reliable tools, but also they have one of the biggest 18 volt platforms there is. I actually think it is the biggest, even bigger than the Milwaukee platform. They have every tool you need, so you're not going to go wanting. Plus the 18 volt range is more practical as well, because they still have the 18 volt 36 volt tools. So instead of going with a 40 volt battery, you can go with two 18 volts, which is a much better system if you're wanting more battery power instead of getting into a whole new battery range. Now, like any brand, they do also have some lemons, or not so much a lemon, just the cheapest of the cheap, the 482. These things are so cheap and so many people buy them, but they're only a wee small brushed machine. Basically the second smallest machine Makita sell. Other things like nail guns, never really recommended them for nail guns, nor table saws, not that great. The brush machines, they're very good price wise, but if you're putting through dog's abuse, they don't last as long. It's not because they can burn out. Like these wee saws, good value for money. They do the job you want it to do, but if you push it, these things can suck 30 or 40 amps and just cook the controller or the motor inside. Buying tools now, I would generally recommend people buy brushless machines. A little bit more expensive, but they're way more power to them and they're less likely to burn out. But when you do buy brushless, do make sure you register them for a 3-year warranty. Bosch tools, don't get me wrong, very, very good stuff. They're just as, if not a little bit more reliable than Makita stuff, but they just didn't keep up with brushless tools, and they don't have as much of an 18 volt platform. So they're not as appealing to a lot of people, and if you're starting out, they mightn't have every tool for you. After that, up here is the other brand we have the most stuff off, is DeWalt. Now here isn't actually a service agent for DeWalt. I don't do any DeWalt service or warranty repairs. I just repair the ones coming to the shop. They started stocking DeWalt because they were asked for them, and because it's DeWalt, let's face it, they're very popular. So they started buying more and more in for their customers. Since getting in this little stand, which was all they needed, it's obviously expanded. And now they stock just about everything, and DeWalt as well. Now, upstairs really could do with a bigger DeWalt stand, maybe 3 or 4 of these here stands together, but that's the only one they have. You would think DeWalt would want to send them on a few more stands to actually advertise their stuff a bit better, but they don't, so that's just the way it lies. Now the DeWalt tools I actually don't mind. Very handy to repair, very easy to work on. Motors and switches are all one piece, so when you get an electronic or a motor problem, you're generally not going to be fixing them. But for quality wise, work wise, the power, yeah, they're quite good. Can't really deny it, they're one of the most popular brands out there. And as you can see from the amount we actually have in stock because we're asked for them, they're definitely sought after. Now the Flex Volt, 54 volt or 60 volt in the States. Machines are generally very good. The biggest problem with them is going to be the batteries. They probably have one of the highest failure rates on batteries because it's such a high voltage. But 18 volt range I've always found very good. Repair wise, things like the drills, they're one of the few brands that you can actually buy all the bits for inside of the gearbox. Them and Hikoki. Most other brands just don't sell you, just sell you as one complete kit, the whole gearbox. So DeWalt, not too bad. Most of the parts are all available for them, but just not the motor and switches. Now, nail guns, DeWalt's, they're not the greatest, but they're one of the cheapest to buy if you already have the batteries, so they're still fairly popular. You do not get as long out of them as something like a pass load though, which we have over here. And as you can see from the dust, they're just not becoming as popular anymore. Boys just do not want to be spending the extra money on the gas. Now, the older IM350 Plus, still fairly popular because the gas isn't as expensive and you can use the clipped head nails, so they're a wee bit cheaper to run. The new IM360s, you still sell them, but not as much. The nails are more expensive and the gas is more expensive. And a lot of people that use a lot of the nails are generally getting the guns free with a pallet of nails. So you still get them in for repair, but they're not as popular to buy. You know they're not as good when you go to look for them second hand. They're running cheap and a lot of people are selling them. These ones are harder to get second hand and they generally go for more money. These are the one to buy. They're still a good gun, but they're not as good as the older ones. The motors don't last as long, nor the electronics. Plus there's extra boards and wiring in them, so they actually have a wee bit of a higher failure rate compared to what they were years ago. But if you're looking for a gas gun, that's the one to be buying. But because you still have to buy gas with them, the savings in the long run for a cordless gun like these here DeWalt's is quite significant. If you were to shoot 100,000 nails, you could buy 2 of those here, body only, for the price of feeding the pass load gun with gas. And then that is also the reason why these Hikokis are becoming so popular as well. Way more powerful than the DeWalt's and way more reliable than the pass loads. You don't have to get them serviced, no problems with gas. You stick a battery in and they run. They run all the time and shoot every single nail until they eventually wear out. That's generally what boys are coming back and telling me. They like them for that reason. Very, very reliable and powerful guns. Now, the Milwaukee gun is just as good power-wise, but as I've said before, repairability just isn't there. These Hikokis, you can buy every single part for them if anything goes wrong. And also, somebody's pointed out recently, the firing pin for the roofing gun, they are very expensive in these Hikokis. They cost about €200 for the firing pin. The Metabo is the exact same gun, but the Metabo pin only costs about €40 or €50. So if you ever need a pin for one of them things, buy the Metabo one instead. But that's it. That's all the tools up here and the shop. So that's everything, folks. That's the whole workshop, the shop itself, and the container and shed as well, where all the older broken machines are actually kept and stored. Hope you enjoyed it, folks. Hope that answers a few of your questions, and I hope this type of video is what you're looking for to celebrate this 100,000 followers mark on the channel. Just want to finish off by saying again another massive thanks to everybody that's actually following and supporting the channel, especially to the members who are actually helping to fund the channel as well. Your help and support means the absolute world to me. Thank you so much. So, if you're liking the tool repair videos, keep hitting that like and share button. If you're liking them, I'll keep making them and posting them. Thank you all, and hopefully someday, in years to come, we never know, maybe we'll get a gold plaque as well. But anyway, thank you all for watching and for following the channel. Thank yous. Chat to you later.